Alright, we're on our last video for our book of quadrilaterals. We're going to talk about kites today. So kites fit into the family tree in a completely different place because kites have no set of parallel sides. So kites is actually just its own special little branch off of a quadrilateral base or tree. Okay, so we're going to come over here. We've got some kites that we're drawing today. You might have flown kites when you were little. They look kind of like this, right? Kites. How can we identify kites? Okay, so let's just basically talk about this tree for just a second. So in this first section of all the blue ones, everything over here has two sets of parallel sides. Okay. In this section here, it only has one set of parallel sides. And in this last section over here, talking about kites, it has no sets of parallel sides. Okay? So, kind of keeping everything in mind from what we've learned, okay, we've got two sets of parallel sides, one set of parallel sides, and today we're going to talk about kites, which has no sets of parallel sides. Okay? So let's go to the kite section. And it says it has exactly two pairs of consecutive congruent sides. What does that mean? Well, it means that if I connect them together, they're going to be consecutive. Consecutive means touching each other or next to each other. So that means that this side is congruent to this side, and this side is congruent to this side. Okay? The other thing that it says is that the diagonals are perpendicular. Okay, the diagonals are perpendicular. And remember, the diagonals are the lines that touch the vertex to the other vertex without it being a side. So AC is a diagonal and BD is a diagonal. Remember, what does perpendicular mean? It means 90 degrees. So where they intersect, it's a 90-degree angle. And then the last thing that you discovered was that exactly one pair of opposite angles is congruent. Okay? Now, here's where I had the hardest time figuring out which angles go where. Okay? And so, when I was young, I struggled with deciding which two angles were congruent, because there's only one pair of angles that are congruent. Okay? So in this picture, the only two angles that are congruent are angle J and angle L. Okay? These other two angles are not congruent. Okay? So, what I did was I remembered, I had to kind of tell myself, these two sides are congruent, and these two sides are congruent, right? So where my angle, my congruent angle is going to be in between the non-congruent sides. Okay? So the congruent angle is always between the non-congruent sides. The congruent angle is always in between the non-congruent sides. So I colored these two sides blue and these two sides orange, and my yellow angle is touching a blue side and an orange side. It's in between the non-congruent sides. Okay? Alright, so the first two examples are down here at the bottom, and I would say that number 2 is a bit easier than number 1. So let's look at number 2. It says find x and y. So if I look at number 2, I know that those two sides are congruent and these two sides are congruent just based on the markings. So that must mean that x is equal to 10 and y is equal to 6. Okay, so that one was meant to be super easy. Just kind of, do you remember that there's two consecutive congruent sides? Number 1's a little bit more challenging because we have to figure out, okay, where are my congruent angles? So remember that congruent angles are between the non-congruent sides. So let me label the sides that are congruent with my colors. So which two angles are going to be exactly the same? This angle right here and this angle right here, because it's touching both colors. So if we don't know what the angle is, we can call it x, and then its matching angle will also be x. And if I wanted to find the measure of this angle over here, then I could add all 4 angles together, and in a quadrilateral, by this time you guys have probably figured out that a quadrilateral, the sum of all the angles is 360. But let's just use the formula in case you've forgotten. My blue pen ran out. So the angle sum is 180 times the number of sides minus 2, which is 180 times 2, or 360 degrees. So that means this plus this plus this plus this add to 360. 36 plus x plus 70 plus x equals 360. If I add all 4 angles together, I get 360. Excuse me. So now we're going to combine like terms. That's 2 x's, and that's 106 equals 360. Take away 106. So 2x equals what? I don't remember. 2x equals 106 from 360. 254. And so then we divide by 2. And so x equals 127. So angle D equals 127 degrees. Okay? All right. Up here at the top, we've got number 3 and 4, and we are done with the split book. Number 3 is pretty easy, the same concept. So we're talking about the angles inside. So we know that the congruent angles are the ones that are in between the non-congruent sides. So we're going to mark our congruent sides here. And so I know that this angle and this angle are congruent. So this one has to be 112. So now I just add them all together to get my answer. So 112 plus y plus 112 plus 2x plus 1. Sorry, that's a y. 2y plus 1 equals, and we just discovered that quadrilateral's sum is 360, right? That's our quadrilateral sum. Quadrilateral angle sum is 360. So now we're going to combine all of our like terms. So we've got 1y and 2y, which is 3y, and we've got 112, 112, and 1, so that's 225. Subtract 225. So 3y equals 135, and then divide by 3. So y is equal to 45. Alright, one more problem. Same concept. This is congruent to this. This is congruent to this. So our congruent angles are going to be here and here. So that must mean that I can figure out what x is. 11x plus 2 is equal to 34. 134 minus 2. 11x equals 132. So I know if I divide by 11, x is equal to 12. Now I need to find y. So to find y, I know this is 134. I also know this is 134. And then I just add all four together. 4y plus 134 plus 8y minus 4 plus 134 equals 360. 4y plus 8y is 12y. 134 minus 4 plus 134 is 264. And you're going to subtract. y equals 96. Y equals 8. Okay. Alright, make sure you take care of that quizzes that goes along with this and start studying for that test. Finals are coming up soon also, so start studying for your final. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.